Hey, what is up guys, it's Lewpac back with another Albion Online video for you, and today we're going to be looking at the Season 9 patch, giving you a rundown of what to expect in it and talking about how it's going to affect you guys in your everyday lives in Albion Online. Obviously Season 8 just wrapped up, it was the first season with the new Outlands, so they're looking to adjust things, act on things that happened that they liked and they didn't like in Season 8 and just tweak things up so that Season 9 is more exciting and more competitive than ever. Obviously there's some other stuff going on with the patch, so we're going to get straight into it. And first we'll take a look at the news post about it and talk briefly about the various features, and then we'll take a bit more of an in-depth look at the forum post with some facts and figures in there. So one of the big things is the new mobile client. I'm not going to talk about this too long, but I do play on mobile a little bit for farming and some safe zone gathering. So getting a new mobile specific UI is fantastic in my opinion, because it makes the game more playable on mobile. But not only that, it means that then the dedicated PC client can now be tailored specifically to PC. They don't have to worry about the needs of mobile users anymore with the PC UI, because they now have their own mobile client. So that's fantastic. If it makes the game more playable on mobile, makes the game more popular overall. I do think mobile players will always struggle against PC players in terms of reactions, but you could still have a lot of fun, and I definitely can't wait to try this out. I currently play on an Android phone, a OnePlus 6, and the game runs very, very well for me. Next up then, Outland Banks. This is something people have been asking about and is pretty cool for people that don't have a guild or an alliance with lots of safe territory in the Outlands. You'll now have remote banks that you can unlock with a silver purchase, and you can bank your gear, bank your gathering stuff until you're ready to bring it home. So that's kind of cool. You can unlock each bank with a one-time silver payment, so it's a silver sync for the game. The only thing is, I believe they don't actually have a shield around them. I think you can get ganked at the banks. They maybe might have a little protective buffer. I'm not entirely sure, but the way they worded it made it sound like it is still a PvP area. It might be that the actual little bank zone itself does give you a bubble, but everywhere around it is PvP. So the only thing I do worry about with these Outland banks is the potential that somebody's going to gank them, because if you know there's a place where people are dropping off and collecting loot, why wouldn't you gank it, honestly, if you're out there ganking? So next up is something we're going to look at in a bit more depth on the forum post. It's the guild season changes. There's basically a few tweaks to the way the guild system works, the leveling up and how points are earned, and some big changes to Crystal League, which I'm super excited about. Season points are now gained from world bosses and the bosses in static dungeons. Now this, combined with the static dungeons getting a small fame boost, might make static dungeons again somewhere that we see people farming in, because honestly, since random dungeons came in, it kind of killed off static dungeons completely. So now with the fame boost and the potential to earn season points, suddenly static farming becomes a thing again. Crystal League tokens can now be purchasable up to level 3. There's some other changes to Crystal League as well, so I'm not going to go too in-depth into this. We're going to be talking about that very shortly. Updated the Crystal League schedule. Again, we're going to talk about that shortly. And adjustments to energy, fame, and silver penalties for larger alliances, which is when you go over a certain amount of territories. And there's also a UI and map improvement. It looks like the map will now be able to be divided into time zones, as well as obviously the siphoning mages, the alliance view, the guild view. That's super cool. One thing I'd really like to see changed though is I wish controlling an outpost or a castle didn't make it look like you own half of the zone. I think that's a little bit silly. It's kind of detracts from it, because outposts can change hands every 10 minutes. So making it look like you own half the zone could be very misleading. Like a new player might think, oh hey, my alliance owns this territory, or half of it, I'll go here. When in fact, they own an outpost and everything else is owned by a guild that's going to murder them. So that's just a little bugbear of my own, but something I wouldn't mind seeing changed. And then, yeah, we've got increased fame and silver from high-level enemies, terrain adjustments to improve visibility, mount and farming sounds, big change there, faster potion crafting, and much more. So there's a lot of interesting stuff in that, but we're going to get a bit more in-depth to it with the forum post that the developers put out. So over on the news post on the forums, you can see there's the Guild Season 9 schedule and changes. There's a lot of a breakdown of the various dates and things that are happening, but the big things you need to know is May the 16th, 2020. Season 9 will begin with an invasion day. This will be live on Albion TV. As always, make sure you tune in at twitch.tv/AlbionOnline. I will be casting the invasion day with Chosen and Bogle as usual, so you'll be able to tune in there and see me in action on the official stream. And the season will end August the 10th. Hopefully by then the COVID-19 crisis will end as well, because around this time, actually on August the 10th, I'm due to fly out to Sandbox Interactive's offices in Berlin, hang out there, meet some of the devs, do some live streams from Sandbox, and hopefully get you some live developer interviews, insights into the future content and stuff like that. So hopefully that all happens, but those are the important dates for Season 9. Once it starts, all the territory battles, everything gets underway. You can score points, you can raid mages, you can attack territories, all of the usual shenanigans. That said though, Season 9 comes with a bunch of changes. One of the biggest changes then is the way that the season points and siphoned energy are generated in a territory. So this directly affects territories more the deeper they're into the Outlands. The territories on the outer rim will not be affected by this change, and the territories right in the center will have the biggest effect by this change. So territories generally give you energy and points on a daily basis based on how many siphon mages you kept alive and for how long in that period. What's going to be happening in the future, to just give you a dumbed down version, is a percentage of the points and a percentage of the energy that is generated, and this is based on how close you are to the center, is going to be stored in the territory. And this will not pay out until the final portion of that reset. So there's 2 mid-season invasion days and obviously the end of the season. So there'll be 3 payout times. And whoever owns the territory on payout day gets that energy and gets those season points that have been stored up for the previous month. So this creates an interesting power dynamic. Obviously, you're still going to do well owning the territory and looking after it, but there is a chance that on the final day of the season, all your stored energy and points, somebody comes in, takes your territory the day before, and they get all of the stored energy and points. There is a diminishing effect on the stored energy. If somebody conquers the territory, they immediately get 20% of the stored energy and another 20% is destroyed. So if it keeps changing hands, the surplus will go down. But if somebody sits on it for the whole season, then someone can take it at the last minute and grab those points. Obviously, there's always going to be 20% decay. This is to disincentivize people just trading territories to give each other points. But I think there's definitely going to be some politics involved here. It's an interesting change. We'll see how it plays out, and we'll see if the Albion player base finds a way to exploit it and use it for their own benefits. But it's definitely a step in the right direction and makes the end of each reset split a lot more exciting. We did say earlier, season points from veteran and world bosses. Decent amount of points if you're just grinding them constantly, especially when you factor in the closer you are to the center, you can get up to 6 times the base amount. So a tier 8 dungeon in the center will give a whopping 30 season points per boss. Pretty good. The world bosses as well, nearer the center, could give up to 300 points in theory. And of course, the last split of the season is double points, so even more than that. You will notice that off the back of this, they have increased the threshold for points though. So that's definitely going to have to be something to consider. It's going to take a lot more points to get crystal, but there's a lot more ways to earn points and everybody can get involved, even your PvEers. Crystal League is changing then. I'm going to do an entire video on Crystal League before Season 9 starts off so that people can find out about it and how to get into it, plus some suggested beginner comps. But what's interesting is now, instead of having a level 1 token purchasable and you have to level it up, you can actually buy a level 1, 2 or 3 token, meaning high level teams won't be meeting teams in level 1 unless they choose to. They can go straight to level 3 for the bigger rewards. The rewards for each level have been thinned out a bit at the top end and buffed a little bit at the bottom end, which is nice, so everybody's contributing a bit more. There isn't that crazy level 9 payout of 32 million silver or whatever it was. but there's definitely a step in the right direction, and there's some big changes going. It doesn't actually say it here, I believe, but level 1 is, oh, it does, it says it at the top, sorry. Level 1 is no longer full loot. So level 1 plays more like an arena, but with decent rewards and on a timer. Again, I'm going to do an in-depth look at Crystal League very, very soon, so we'll talk more about that. But basically it means that people can practice or get into level 1 crystals risk-free, start leveling towers, start earning points for their guild and getting that 5v5 experience without having to bring 5 sets with artifact gear plus all the food and pots and all that. The schedule has also been changed. You could get the full schedule by following the link in the news post, but basically all of the high level matches happen more frequently now, except for level 9, which is still at the end of the season. The item power thresholds have been adjusted, and the break between the high level matches is now 30 minutes instead of 60, so that's really good. The few last changes to look at then for the Season 9 patch: Siphon Energy Drain starts at 10 territories, but now increases in increments of 3% instead of, I believe it was 5. So it's a little bit less punishing to own more territories. And also the Fame and Silver penalty now starts at 20 territories instead of 10. So overall, like, it's probably okay now to go over the 10 territory threshold without your guild or alliance going mad, but there's still going to be a sweet spot. Honestly, I think you don't really want to hit 20 territories because you'll be losing 30% of your energy income. That said, it's not that bad. 30% to have all that territory, you're going to have more stuff coming in overall. But once people start losing Fame and Silver, they're definitely not going to be happy. I think the power blocks are going to come back together, and this, to me, allowing people to get up to 20 territories now kind of makes me think they want alliances to come back together. They're not really happy with this situation of everybody being in their own little alliance to dodge the disarray buff, to dodge the territory limit. So I think they're trying to steer the player base back towards getting back into their alliances. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, there is now a new threshold for the ranks. So you'll need 5,000 points now to get to bronze, 20,000 for silver, 75,000 for gold, and a whopping 240,000 for crystal. So it's definitely a bigger undertaking to secure those battle mounts. Silver should be attainable by anyone that puts in the effort. Gold will be attained by, most top 50 guilds that are being competitive, and crystal will require a concerted push. But don't forget, everybody's going to be earning season points even in level 1 crystals now. Crystals are going to be happening more frequently, so there's more points there. Plus, bosses are going to be giving a lot, like season points in static dungeons and world bosses. And on top of that, you can steal people's energy supply that's stored in their territory and get their season points if you want to conquer their territory just as the payout comes. So there's more options to make season points, so it makes sense that the thresholds are higher. So there you go, that is an overview of the Season 9 changes that we have so far. If there's a balance patch coming with it, I will do a little separate review of that for the combat changes. I believe there's some new skills and stuff in the works that we're going to be checking out once they hit the test server. And as I said, I will do a specific Crystal League GVG video to give you guys an insight into the Crystal League, how to get started and what to expect. Anyway, I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys think about these changes, what you reckon Season 9's gonna hold, and who do you think's going to win Season 9? Be very, very interested with the current fight over the center of the Outlands going on. Hideouts are being smashed, territories are being sieged. It's all very wild right now. And that's all to look forward to coming to Season 9 in Albion Online. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another video.